We often focus on speed, efficiency, and innovation when building technology, but there's another side that's just as critical: how technology performs under pressure in moments of fear or uncertainty, which can make all the difference between success and failure. Understanding how human behavior in these systems is key to designing systems that people trust and rely on when it matters most. On our next session, when technology is tested by fear, designing how people actually behave under pressure, we'll explore practical approaches to creating tech that truly supports users under stress. This session will share insights from real world experiences and highlight strategies that prioritize trust, usability, and adoption when the stakes are at the highest. Joining us for this session today will be Deborah Acosta, CEO and founder of We Sell PBC. Let's give her a warm round of applause and welcome her to the stage.
A break with a bit of levity. Thank you very much. I know it's tempting to just keep on talking and networking over there at lunch, but I'm really glad you've joined me today because I think my partner Ann Marcus and I have a different take on AI. And here's the thing: I use it every day. Does this clicker work? Ah, for planning, for creating, for organizing, for the most amazing visuals, right? That I could never do before. Even for planning a rainy day with my grandson. Okay, I admit I don't always trust it. I don't, and I definitely don't always get what I want out of it. And I can absolutely do the work without it, right? So at first, okay, come on, clicker. Help. It's okay, there's a delay. That did I? See, when technology works as with people who are not quite, there, we have to design for that. Oh, that's the clicker. Obviously, I've not done one of those before. Okay, thank you. All right, so now we know that I don't always trust it. I work with it. I think I can absolutely do it without it. And at first, it feels like a tool, something you control. You realize, but then you start to realize you're starting to rely on it, not just occasionally to get things done. It's becoming part of how your world works. And then one day, you catch yourself calling her chatty. It was never just a tool. I can do the work without it, but not at this pace and not at this level of iteration. And the more I use AI, the more I realize AI is quickly being layered into everything, right? Into the systems that already determine how information flows, how decisions get made, and what people do next. Systems designed to work under normal conditions. Normal conditions. Well, what is normal? Okay, the electricity is flowing, the internet is working, AI systems are go, and predictable, right? So I'm using Chatty to refine this talk. Okay, true confession, right? And Ann, my business partner, and I think we got this. We got this dialed in. And then the power goes out. No warning, just gone. And suddenly, everything I was relying upon to finish this presentation wasn't there. There was an immediate problem, but it wasn't the real problem. The real problem is we assume systems we depend upon, energy, mobility, communication, are built to work when we need them most. And then in a real moment, we find out they don't exist for the moments that matter. So that's when the question changes. What happens when those systems meet reality and break? Well, this is what happens. In my community of San Leandro, California, we've had multiple alerts, gas leaks, firestorms, other emergencies. And on December 5th, something very real happened. A tsunami warning was issued for the entire West Coast, including the Bay Area where I live. By all reports, the response was uneven. That's a polite way of saying there was no coordinated response. Not because people didn't care, but because the existing system wasn't built for that moment. People were left to figure it out for themselves. So, what happens when life is suddenly no longer normal? This is literally a picture of my front yard. This is what happens. Life is no longer normal. And the question changes, what do you do? Who do you call? And for a long, oh, so long moment, nobody knows. Not because people aren't capable, but because nothing was designed to guide them to safety. You're looking at your phone, looking around, trying to figure it out. So if this is someone in your life that you care about, they need more than an alert. They need a way to act. And here's what that reveals. When things break, it's not random. It's predictable. They're not malfunctioning. Usually they're functioning, performing exactly as they were designed to perform, just not for this moment. Because these systems were never designed for the moment when people really need them. They were designed for normal, predictable conditions. And this is the part we usually miss about how these systems are designed. When systems fail, they're not usually malfunctioning. They're doing exactly what they were designed to do. So that would be a contained problem. We could miss the mark, go back in and fix it. But the problem is those systems are not staying the same. We're adding AI. And AI doesn't fix those systems. It inherits that design. It learns from it. It scales it faster, broader, with more impact. So this is the real question. Not whether the system works, but whether it works when it actually matters. Because that's what resilience is. No, not performance under ideal conditions, but the ability to function when conditions are not normal. When the power is out, when communication breaks down, when people are confused or afraid or overwhelmed, right? And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. We have not designed people into the system because really resilience isn't about uptime. It's about what the system was supposed to do when things break. So let's start in my hometown where this is happening fastest. Silicon Valley, the center of AI investment in the country, perhaps the world. This region is capturing roughly 60% of all AI investment in the United States. At the same time, it has lost more than 30,000 tech jobs since 2023, roles increasingly impacted by automation. AI jobs are growing, but they represent just a fraction of the jobs lost. So what we're seeing is this: capital is accelerating while the number of people earning from it is shrinking. That's not random. This is the system working exactly as it was designed to work. This isn't just Silicon Valley, of course. This is happening across the United States and globally. especially, and layoffs are accelerating, especially in roles tied to, think about this from your own personal life and perhaps that of your parents, especially in roles tied to automation, technology, administration, operations. I can't tell you how frustrated I get when I need help and I get a chatbot. I want a person to talk to. And employers across the globe have already attributed over 12,000 job cuts this year across industries, just this year, directly attributed to AI. That only counts the companies willing to say it out loud. This pattern is consistent. Capital accelerates, labor contracts. And when you design systems to optimize for efficiency alone, and boy, haven't all of us heard a lot about the word efficiency today and over the last couple of years. And when you design systems to optimize for efficiency alone, well, this is the outcome. So, what are we actually removing? Not just jobs, functions, the human functions that make systems work. When conditions are not normal, customer support, operations, technical support, not overhead, system function. Companies like Block, we've all heard about that, right? About a month ago, they laid off almost 40% of their workforce, 4,000 people in one shot. And it was completely attributed to AI efficiency. Just a few days ago, Meta announced that it was going to be laying off 20% of its workforce, 15,000 people globally, with no idea of what's going to happen to the functions that they have eliminated. So, and these weren't abstract. And so, honestly, hiring is still down 40% from its 2021 COVID peak. So these are not abstract roles. These are the people who handled what the system couldn't handle under stress. The exception layer, the translation layer, the adaptation layer, and to my good friend Anne, the feedback loop, right? You remove that from the system. When someone can't understand, receive, or act, in many cases, your people solved that problem. The system didn't solve those gaps, people did. And now we're designing that human layer out of the system. And when that happens, two things start to break. And the first one I say will not surprise any of you, trust. Trust breaks. People hesitate, they stop engaging. Second, participation. This is all for all of you who want to grow your businesses, pay attention. Some people lose the ability to engage at all. So now we have systems designed for how people are supposed to behave and act and speak, interacting directly with communities that just don't fit the mold. No buffer, no translation, no system adaptation, just the system operating under stress exactly as it was designed. So this is the consequence. If AI is eliminating jobs faster than it is creating earning power, and if our systems are designed only for people who fit the model, we're designing customers out of the system. And I've heard a lot about the slow adaptation rate for AI. So think about it. That's right. We're not just removing workers, we are removing customers. And when that happens, systems don't just fail operationally, they fail economically because they were never designed to function under real conditions, even though that's actually where people live. So this is the trajectory, not theoretical, structural. When people lose earning power, they lose the ability to participate. And when participation drops, demand drops. And when demand drops, surprise, businesses don't grow. they contract. So this is not a market fluctuation. This is a design outcome, as we have learned from the CEOs of Block and Meta and Amazon and all the rest of them. It's a design outcome. None of this is happening by accident. It's a direct result of how these systems were designed. So this is human-centered design that we're talking about. It's not a new concept. It's been around for a long time. Feels like human-centered design have always understood you design around how people actually behave. What's changed is where that design has to work. We can no longer design for stable conditions. We must design for disruption. Violent weather events, earthquakes, firestorms, electrical blackouts, war, lost jobs. Moments when systems are under stress and people like you and me are too. So the question becomes, how do you actually design for that? So this is what it looks like in practice. Designing systems for how people actually behave in real conditions, which means building in redundancy. Oh yeah, translation, we are a global world. Human support and real-time adaptation, not as exceptions, but as core system function. And that starts here at Discover, not discovering what technology can do, discovering what people need, what they fear, what they can actually handle, what keeps them up at night. Because if you skip that, you don't understand the problem. And if you don't understand the problem, everything that follows is built on the wrong conditions. Everything that follows is optimized for conditions that don't exist. You define the wrong problem, you design the wrong system, you deploy the wrong solution, and the system works exactly as designed. So this is where all of this lands. Not in technology, not in the system, in leadership. Because these decisions affect real people, especially when it matters most. So the tsunami didn't arrive, but the warning, the tsunami didn't arrive, but the warning did. And with AI, we're not waiting for the warning. We've already seen it in the layoffs, in the removal of human support, in the instability of demand. Our systems are already under stress. The same systems we're now building AI into. So the question is not whether we build these systems. We know we're going to. It's where we start. Because if you start with definition, with design, with deploy, you're already too late. You're building on assumptions that don't hold under real conditions. It starts with discovery, understanding how people actually behave, what they need, what they can handle when things are not normal. And I don't know about you, but things don't feel very normal today, right? Whatever normal is, it doesn't feel like that. Because if you get that wrong, everything that follows will be designed for a world that doesn't exist. And when that happens, the system performed exactly as designed. So, and in this room, the decision is yours. Thank you.